Ahorra más con Lowe's y lleva cada proyecto al siguiente nivel. Ahorra 15% en una selección de puertas de entradas e interiores personalizadas. Además, ahorra $80 en un kit de 2 herramientas de Wolf de 20 voltios max por $169. Y en el Pro Desk de Lowe's trae tu lista de materiales escrita o en una foto y recibe una cotización en minutos. Agiliza tus proyectos mientras sigues ahorrando con Lowe's. Válido hasta 7/8 hasta agotar resistencia. Selección varía por lugar.
Hi, my spooky friends. Have you ever wondered what happens after we die? Is there a bright light, some harp-playing angels, or do we spend eternity trying to remember why we walked into a room in the first place? Well, if you've got questions about the afterlife, you're in luck, because this week we're bringing you a special feed drop from our friends at Voices of Misery. Joining the show is Ericka Bouss-ar-hane, a psychic medium who doesn't just believe in ghosts, she actually talks to them. And unlike most of us, when Ericka hears strange noises in the middle of the night, she doesn't immediately blame the cat, the plumbing, or a lack of sleep. Ericka shares incredible stories of communicating with the dead and explains how she discovered her abilities and completely blows the nerd's mind with her experiences. Together, they dive into questions that have haunted humanity for centuries. What is the afterlife really like? What happens when we die? And can the deceased still roll their eyes at us from beyond the grave? So now, it's time for Voices of Misery.
Hey, what's going on again, everybody? It's another episode of the Voices of Misery podcast. I'm, of course, the nerd, and I am very excited. If you can't tell by the sound of my voice, I have been looking for someone with the background of this next guest here, this wonderful woman who agreed to come on the show after me pestering and pestering and pestering. She finally said, you know what, I'm going to give this poor schmuck here a break and give him an interview, and I'm glad she's here. I'm just so excited. I don't even know what to say. It's just something I've been wanting to talk about for a while. You guys know I'm really into the afterlife and all sorts of things. And this woman here is an international psychic medium, Ericka. Now, I don't want to butcher your last name, Ericka. Let me try. Is it Boussarhane?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That sounds wonderful. My husband pronounces it Boussarhane. But because I'm Southern and it was really weird to try to learn how to say it and spell it, I just call it Boussarhane because that's how I learned to spell it. But Boussarhane is fine. It's all good.
Wait a second. You're Southern. Where are you from originally?
I was born and raised in Pensacola, Florida.
Okay. I'm here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and I know you're probably missing it right now living in Florida. They had some really nice weather today.
Yeah, it's really in the place that I live in Pensacola, it's a really nice place to go to the beach. So even though Sanska knocked our bridge out during the hurricane, it's still beautiful down here. So we have really good weather. Usually not any snow or super cold. It's mostly sunshine and nice beach weather.
Okay. Now, listen, I am very excited to have you on the show because you are more than likely the most interesting person that I've had on the show because I've talked to a lot of people, but you by far are the most interesting. I'm very excited for this.
You know why I'm so interesting? Because I'm the real life Oda Mae, for real. It's like the movie Ghost, but I think I'm better looking, actually.
I can see this guy picture, and I can definitely co-sign on that, people. She is definitely better looking than Whoopi Goldberg, trust me.
I
Now,
still love her, though, but yeah.
all right, so when did you realize that you had a gift for just being a psychic?
Well, I come from a family of a lot of psychic people, but specifically women. So it was kind of like an inherited thing. My witchery runs far in the veins, I guess.
Now, is this more exclusive to women being a medium? Because I do notice that, when you see mediums on TV, they're mostly women. Is there something to that?
No, I think honestly that we're all kind of psychic. There's a lot of people in medical fields and law enforcement specifically that are very mediumistic and psychic. They just are more logical with it and try to dismiss it and say, oh, no, it's just those women feeling those feelings and having that blue sense or those flashes of things or that gut instinct. But I believe it runs deep on both sides. But because women are more emotional, maybe technically hormonally, we tend to tap into it and realize it more.
What is the secret to tapping into this? Is it just having an open mind? Because you said everyone has the ability for this. What is it that would keep someone from not maybe utilizing that ability?
Well, it could be a lot of things that keep people from staying or coming out of the psychic closet. I think for most people, it's not the of being crazy or being deemed a witch. But sometimes it's just scary. A lot of people have watched movies like The Exorcist and a lot of these other scary movies that they're like, I don't want none, keep them spirits over there. And being that I'm African American, even in my community, I meet a lot of people like me and they're like, girl, we ain't having nothing to do with that voodoo. And then I try to explain to them, I was born this way, so are you. It's not really voodoo. It's not anything negative. It's just innate. And so to answer your question, I think, most people have to learn to open up, and when they see things, they have to acknowledge it. And you can kind of exercise through meditation and other things to kind of train your brain to recognize it more. But everybody dreams, and being psychic in a way is just like having a dream. You still get flashes of information in a dream. We just learn to harness it and make sense into the reality to get information.
What are some misconceptions when it comes to people being psychic? You would think that you could see into the future, you can, pick the winning lottery tickets, you'd be able to tell who's going to win the Super Bowl this year, stuff like that. Or what are some misconceptions?
Yeah, there's that whole Randy thing, like if you're psychic and, why is it pseudoscience per se? I think I have won lottery before, so I always start out there. I've won lottery, so I'm psychic and I've won the lottery. I can't read people's minds because I think that invades their personal spiritual space. We're all guarded, protected energies, and so it would not be in the highest good for me to be able to read your mind because it invades your personal space. And so we have this fine line discernment that we walk through, intuitives. So that's one of the reasons. One of the other misconceptions is that psychic ability has to do with some type of religion or some kind of ritual type of things. There are just so many, that we tell the future. We're fortune tellers. Not everybody does that, but there are some people that do well at predictions or precognitive. I just primarily am more of a psychic medium with the dead people. I don't do predictions as much. I do precognitive, but everybody has what I would call the clairs at some degree, the clairsentient, to see, to hear, to feel, to smell, to taste. All of those are our senses. We just supersize them when we're psychic and we learn how to use them better.
Okay. Now, you started this. Now, you said it was kind of passed down. It's a generational thing. It's through your family. You come from a long line of mediums. How old were you when you figured out that this was something that you could do yourself? How did you figure that out?
Well, I have different stories. I kind of recalled in kindergarten sitting next to this girl named, I believe her name was Christina or something like that. And I was trying to find out why she was so sad. And so she told me some things that, I didn't understand at the time. But I just intuitively knew something was wrong with her. And then I flashed back to when Dr. Spence died, my mom's boss. He was a dentist. And I remember seeing him sitting on my bed after we went to his funeral, and he was talking to me. And I didn't really understand that he was dead at the time, even though technically I went to his funeral because I was young. And, throughout college, it's just been different things. And then the realtor, the lovely Jack Laura in Pensacola, ended up selling me a haunted house. So I went full force psychic then because I was by these dead women. So that's when I kind of like turned full force out of the psychic closet. But it started when I was very young. I think we call it empathy. Children just sense things, but I didn't really realize how strong my abilities were until later on, I guess, especially in college.
Okay, so growing up in this, you probably the first time you saw like a dead person, were you like a child or were you an adult, a teenager? Like, can you describe that first moment where you saw something that you were like, wait a second, this isn't normal, this isn't real, or there's something that you had to kind of tap into your inner medium?
Yeah, I can't really recall a specific age, honestly.
Okay.
Like I would look at the sun outside and I could see like rainbow energy stuff all around it. And, it wasn't until later on I was talking to some friends of mine and they didn't understand what I was talking about. So furthermore, I felt I was crazy. And then, I would always see shadow people in the apartment that my mom lived in. And I didn't really understand at the time they were dead people. I just knew that I was scared. I was an only child and I was in there by myself. And, there were noises in the attic. Then I saw the Exorcist movie. Then I got real scared of everything. And then I think I just shut it off until later on in college. But I could always say that I did see shadow figures, but I was kind of running from them in the house and playing like music all the time. And I remember I saw a shadow figure and then I listened to The Devil Went Down in Georgia. It came on the radio and I was freaking out. I was so scared. But, and so after I saw The Exorcist, I thought the shadows were devils or demons and I was so afraid of them. And I think they went away for a long time.
Now, was there any prep work as far as like your family telling you like, hey, you're going to see some things and maybe not talk about them to other people because they might think certain ways about you. They may think you're crazy. They may judge you. Did they ever have that conversation with you? Like maybe keep the secret for now?
No, my crazy mom played with the Ouija board. I mean, come on. She talked to dead people. When we were little, me and my cousin, we'd sit around afraid, and we didn't know. We thought she was playing a game, honestly. And it wasn't until like I went to high school, I found all these books that my mom had. It was more about like meditation and how to talk to dead people. And I guess she was doing her own research, trying to do her own thing on the slide. And we didn't really know that that's what she was doing when she was talking to the Ouija board. And she had divination stuff. And I remember I watched the movie Witchcraft. And then I went in there and she had put all that stuff away. It was like, she had remarried and everything. And I went and found all that stuff and threw it in the trash because I thought it was of the devil. and I didn't want her to go to hell. So I threw it all away. And she still rags me about that to this day, about throwing her antique, wonderful Ouija board away in her penchant and all that other stuff.
Are Ouija boards real? I've never gotten a chance to play one. I never got the chance to play with one, and I'm of the mindset of like, I'm not sure if this stuff's real or not. I'm very open-minded to it all, but I just don't want to take that chance because I don't want something latching on to me. You know what I mean?
Okay, so this is the thing with Ouija boards, and I laugh about it because, being a medium, a Ouija board is no different from tarot. A Ouija board is no different from a crystal ball. A Ouija board is no different from a pendulum. It is still a divination tool. So if you're using it to connect to a spirit, the Ouija board is no worse or no better than the tarot. It's the same concept. I think the Ouija board gets a bad name because of misinformation and movies that have kind of made everybody scared of it. But, you could summons something using. and they know how to open it and close it, and they know how to cleanse their cards and stuff. But it's pretty much the same thing. I mean, I do seances without a Ouija board, but you can do a seance with the Ouija board too. It's I can connect with spirits with tarot. I can connect with spirits like I did the other day in my living room by throwing stones on the floor. It's just all whatever you want to use as a divination. The danger is real, yes. Knowing what you're doing is very important. Being in a good state of mind, a good location, not just calling out to anything and everything. There are guidelines, but yeah, the Ouija board, in the fact that we know it could be negative or positive, is real.
Okay, it makes me even more afraid seriously to buy one, because I was looking on eBay and I saw one the other day and I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do it because I just don't want to take that chance. It's just that whole skepticism thing about it, I just don't want something to attach itself to me. Since you're on the show, I do have a question for you, because I'm a big fan of horror movies, right?
Uh-huh.
I want to ask you, are there any horror movies that kind of got it right as far as the afterlife goes? Because there's so many out there that show what the afterlife is. Are there any of them out there that are like you as a medium that can speak to dead people, I can see dead people? Are there any that are just like, all right, that one did it, or that one, is pretty legit?
Let me think. Yeah, that's a good question, but I don't think I'll be able to answer that because I can't think of a horror movie like right now that would legitimately be. But I will tell you, Ghost. The ending of Ghost is very kind of true, in some capacity. I think that I have seen movies that deal with demons and, all of that stuff. Sometimes that can be blown out of proportion, not that they don't exist. But when I get calls from people all around the world about, 3 scratches at 3 a.m., dead time, and all this other nonsense, a lot of times what I'll do is remote view the home and see if there's anything there from my location in Pensacola. And a lot of times it's really nothing there. It's either attention-seeking behavior, a lot of that, or if it's just a misunderstanding, it could be somebody else deceased. But I wanted to also mention something that might be interesting to you about the Ouija board. Mm-hmm. We did an investigation here in Pensacola. We didn't use a Ouija board, but we still got a negative spirit, and we were using ghost hunting equipment. So that is also kind of like a Ouija board that a lot of people use. So I just wanted to throw that out there too, that, sometimes people think the Ouija board is so bad, but if you're using ghost hunting equipment, you're on the same page, literally.
What's that? Now, what's these 3 scratches at 3 a.m.? Because like that, I've never heard of that. What is it?
Well, it's something like, I know Paranormal State, when it was on television, they did a dead time thing, it was 3 a.m. in the morning. And so the belief system is that it is the time that the veil is thin, but comes through, but the other world can come through at any time. But it's because a lot of people saw that, and it has something to do with Christ and when he was killed and resurrected, I believe, also. But it has been like a time where when people call, they seem to want to stamp. Everything happens at 3 a.m. Like that's what it's like. It's almost become like a thing. Well, it happened to me at 3 something in the morning, and I'm thinking, really? I'm a skeptic. Oh my God, I'm terrible. And so I will be like, I'm not feeling it. Do you have a cat? Yeah, it was probably your cat. Because I am. I'm a terrible skeptic.
Well, that's a good thing, because some people out there are just trying to sell fear. And you see a lot of that now in politics and just the world in general. And some people will prey on people's gullibility in order to sell them a product. And it's good that you're being like, hey, you know what? It's probably your cat. It's probably not a ghost. Because that's honesty. And I think people appreciate that when you come to them and tell them, like, no, it's probably nothing. So I think that's really cool. And it just proves that you're legit with everything, and it's just really cool that you would tell someone that, because there's so many people out there just trying to just screw with people, basically.
Well, I see it happen a lot of times with families and children. Children, my background is psychology, my background is child care facilities, and then I went into full-time psychic medium. So there are times when parents will call me because their child is being bothered by something, and a lot of times I'm able to help. But then there are times when the family has created a delusional fear in this child because, it's almost like it's programmed in them. So I have to say to that mom, look, there's nothing going on in the house. You need to stop enabling this behavior because this is either attention seeking or this is something that needs to be seen by a psychologist. But I'm the real talk that's going to tell you that, where other people would probably say, hey, send me $500 and let me roll it on your back and cure it. I'm just not down with that.
Now, let me ask you this, because we did mention cats briefly earlier, like, oh, it's probably your cat. Is there any truth to animals seeing things and, like, babies that'll just stare off into a corner of the room and reach out for things that you can't see as an adult? Is there any truth to that? Because my dogs will, like, stare at, like, a corner of a ceiling. I'm like, what the heck are they looking at? And they freak me out.
Yes! Animals are so intuitive. And don't even just think fish. Like, every sense. Fish, snakes, dogs, cats. I think cats, though, seem to be a little bit more intuitive, where I feel dogs are more guardians. But cats sense like bad spirits better, I believe, from my personal opinion. And also dogs sense them too, but they're more of a protector. Cats be like, oh, I see it. They might flee, but they ain't going to try to save you.
They don't give a shit.
Yeah, they don't care. They see it and they just say, hey, you're on your own, basically.
All right. Now, I got to ask you the $1 million question here, because I know everyone out there is wondering, like, when's he going to ask this question? What happens when we die?
Okay, that's a good question. So I deal with a lot of traumatic death sometimes. And the belief that I have and that I have had with loved ones is that when you die, like say you're laying in a hospital bed and you're suffering from cancer, let's just say, your physical body is there, okay? But you're able to, what I would call astral travel. This is even while you're living. You're able to astral travel to, like, say maybe your daughter in Canada or your daughter in California. And you're able to say something to them like call or, have a sense of peace or warmth, or, it's just the overall feeling that, hey, dad is laying in this bed, but he's here with me right now. So you're able to astral travel to loved ones. You're able to communicate with them through dream state, and also, right there present with them. You're able to go back in your body and lay, technically, spirit back in that bed. When you die, you're above looking down at the room, and that's why a lot of people can show you in out-of-body experiences kind of like what they saw and see their body laying in the bed, because their spirit is not in that body. So when you die, your relatives, it depends on who it will be to come to you, but they usually show up. So you see dead people usually saying, oh, I see mom, or they point, or not dead people, as they're dying, they might start calling out that they see people in the room and getting afraid. Those people are there to transfer them or to carry them on to the other side. So that's what happened. Now, what happens when you get to the other side? There is a sense of heaven and hell. To me, it's in layers. So there is like this third, it's like a multi-dimensional kind of thing where we have heaven here too on earth, because they come down to us every now and then and, interact with us. They're not far away like in another planet where they can't come back. They come back all the time. Mm-hmm. And I want to also mention too, like in suicides, because I deal with a lot of traumatic deaths like car accidents, suicides, and family members are always concerned, did that family member suffer? And so again, the same thing, that physical body is there, but that spiritual body goes out of body, just like fight or flight. Prior to that trauma, the family members kind of come get you. And that's why I say ghost is kind of on the money as far as the dead scene, where there's that physical body and the guy's coming out of the physical body and walking around and looking at his body standing or laying there on the ground. Now, when the bad people carry him away, that's kind of different, but it is a very realistic view of how death is from what I've been shown and told.
Now, I've used that analogy quite a few times on the show where I talked about ghosts, and that's how I've always wanted the afterlife, because I don't know what to believe yet. And if I did have a perfect vision of what the afterlife would be, that would be it. Now, this is a question I hope you can answer this one for me. Because as someone who can see and talk to dead people, you would imagine that spirits get very lonely because a lot of people can't see them. Like I think about the movie Ghost and the part where Patrick Swayze's trying to talk to people in the streets and no one can see them. They're walking through them, they're walking around them, and no one can see them. You being someone that can see and talk to spirits, have you ever found that like they're like, oh my God, someone to talk to? They just talk your head off and just don't like leave you alone, or like are they around you right now as you're doing this?
Hell yeah. Well, not right now, but they're like I can go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Or Dairy Queen. I mean, any place I go, I'm going to be interacting with something dead because your family or your friends will be around you. It's like I see that I'm a light in darkness, and so I don't think that they follow me around like I'm a beacon, but I think that they take opportunities to make me have goosebumps and make me feel like I know the person. So I'll strike up a conversation with them because I'm really social. And then all of a sudden I'll start seeing like a death or, hearing somebody tell me something, and then there it starts. But yeah, I think that your loved ones go out of their way to give you closure and let you know that they're okay, give you messages of love. That can be through someone like me, or that can be through your own interactions, your own synchronicities, your own signs that you encounter every day. That sometimes we don't pay attention to, but they're definitely there.
Have you had any that are really persistent that are just like so happy just to be able to talk to someone that can talk to someone for them? Like maybe a husband who got murdered, or maybe someone who just had some kind of traumatic death and they want to give a message to their spouse. Are there any that are just really persistent? They're like, hey, please, tell them this, tell them that, tell them this, tell them that. And it's like constant where you're like, hey, relax, leave me alone. Like these are my hours of operation.
Yeah, so I have a lot of people that I know on Facebook. So there was this one girl, she had posted something about this guy, rest in peace. And all of a sudden, I was seeing the guy, and I was in his house, and he was telling me that I needed to talk to his wife. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that because of discernment. I always tell people, don't go where you're not invited. Don't go trying to track people down to give messages to them, because that's ego for me. It's like, ooh, look what I can do. And so he persisted. Yes, he did. He was a firefighter too. So I kind of listened a little bit more to him, and I reached out to his wife on Facebook and just, basically sent her a message. And I told that in common friend, because me and this lady were not friends. I had shot her a screenshot of what I had sent to the wife and told her to find it, because she'd have to look for it under request. And so later on, I helped her a lot. And so there are times that, they'll go out of their way to get messages to me or other mediums. And sometimes we'll deliver them, sometimes we don't. I remember I was in Walmart one day, and there was a guy standing next to me, and I was buying some fishing gear because I was going to take my boys out fishing. And every time I go someplace, it's like my husband, my two boys will say, oh my God, Mom, not now, not now. Because it happens so much. I mean, it's like, go to a restaurant and make the waitress cry because I see her dead grandmother behind her. It's just crazy. But this particular guy he was here from another state. I can't remember. I think New Jersey. And he had come down to visit his son. And the only thing I said to him was that it's going to be okay. I know what's wrong. It's going to be okay. You have angels watching over you and a lot of people praying for you. And he started crying because he did not understand how I knew he had cancer and he was dying, and that he had come here to spend time with his son and he couldn't tell him. And I said, you have to tell him. And so it was just one of those moments that changed me. I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's just those moments that I guess spirits kind of send me a nudge to kind of say something to help someone, or send the message to them. And, I don't know if he's dead now, but I know that I encouraged him to tell his son so that his son could spend the rest of, the time that he had and not knowing and be surprised. Because I've talked to people on the other side that didn't know that their family was sick. And it's like, it's heartbreaking because they feel like they missed so many moments and times and things that they didn't say. And so, that kind of thing. So I shared that with him, and I think he was moved, and so was I. So that was a really good time that I enjoyed, where Spirit just made me say, hey, grab this guy and talk to him. He might think you're crazy, but okay, it's not going to be the first and it won't be the last.
Now, what do these spirits look like? Do you see them in their final moment? Like, let's say if someone got their head blown off, like, would you see them that way, or would you see them the way that, like, or as adults, or would you see them in their final, like, how do they look? Because I've always been curious about that.
Okay, so let me tell you, one time at band camp, so initially when I first saw somebody get killed like that scared the shit out of me. And I was like, don't y'all ever show me that again. And so since then, they never do. I have seen some traumatic stuff, but it's usually like I'll feel, instead of showing me, well, I don't want to talk about it. Well, one time I saw this knife. Oh my God. I saw a knife stuck in a lady's eye. Oh my God, it traumatized me. It happened here locally. A son, I shouldn't talk about this, but I was doing a gallery. Okay. A gallery is like a group reading.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all these random people I don't know. So I was going into this front of this lady, and I saw this lady laying on the floor in a kitchen. She had a knife stuck in her eye, and I freaked out in front of I don't know how many people. And I was like, oh my God, what is that about? She says, oh my God, that's that. And she was telling me who it is and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I need to take a break because I had to go regroup. So stuff like that, they don't normally show me, but I don't know why they had to show me that and freak me out. But it's mostly like I'll feel like a gunshot. I'll see like the stabbing. If it's a car accident, I usually feel like they're ejecting out of the car. They're hitting something. They're turning left. They're veering. It's like I see it in slow motion, but I don't see the blood or the body or the trauma stuff. They kind of hint to it. Like when somebody blew up one time, like in war, I saw the blow up, but I didn't see the body parts fly. I've seen like fire, but not the body. It's kind of, they show me enough to know what it is, but they spare me gross. I don't think I could deal with it.
Now, I see here that you've helped out in legal situations. So you've helped solve crimes and bring closure to the families after their deaths. Does what you say hold up in court? And like, what kind of trials or like what kind of situations have you been in where you had to help solve a crime? And would that hold up in a court of law?
Actually, yeah, I was subpoenaed. The most recent one was I was subpoenaed by, this is like probably my favorite one because I hate child molesters. I was reading a lady one time and I saw her child being abused. And so I had the lady let me talk to the child, and it was true. And we went to the sheriff department. I was subpoenaed as a psychic. And how did I know? It was just some bull. But anyway, he got convicted, so I was happy about that. And I was right. And to that attorney, he said to me, what credentials do you have to even question this child? And I said, well, if you know anything about my history, you'll realize I had a child care facility, 2 of them. And if you want, I can submit you all this documentation that I have about forensic, this and this and that. And so I guess that dude decided to plead because he didn't stand a chance. Yeah. There was other evidence too, but yeah, it was just that. But I mean, yeah, there have been times like I've tried to help with families, some local cases here, some things nationally. Samira Watkins was probably, I think, one of the most painful cases that I did. They did do a documentary or several documentaries on her, and I think one of them featured me. Or 2 of them featured me as a psychic. They told her she was pregnant, that she was going to die and all this other stuff, and somewhat helped find her body. But they kind of played me as the Miss Cleo from the islands, which was nothing like me. Said I was a tarot reader. It was just a whole bunch of craziness, but yeah.
Oh,
but
Miss
that's how they do psychics, I guess, on television. They make us become Miss Cleo from the island. Honey child, you better leave that boy alone, Crazy.
$2.99 per minute. Get your parents' permission.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. No, I want to ask you about astral projection because I do believe that there's a lot of truth to that because sometimes if you have a really crazy dream where you're talking to someone they haven't talked to in forever, and there's other situations too where like you're falling off a roof or something and you wake up and your body like jerks or jolts or whatever. I really do feel like dreams are where they would happen, and that's the only time where your mind is free to just kind of roam or go wherever you want to go. And it just roams freely, and I think that's kind of untapped potential. Is there any way that you can like teach someone to do that at will, or is that something that just happens in your subconscious when you're sleeping?
There's some really good free YouTube videos that I've used, just to kind of like do it too. But I liked Victoria I think it's hiptalk.com. She has a astral travel hypnosis that I really liked because she laid you in the bed and she made all your limbs turn to steel and she spun you out of your navel up into the air, and then she worked you to say that one more time.
That doesn't sound pleasant.
Oh, it was cool because you literally could feel your soul, or I guess your spirit body, kind of spin out of your navel. And the whole concept of the navel was to remember that you were still attached to the body, and so you could come back at any time. It was like you're at that etherical cord coming out of your navel, so it was really cool. But yeah, I wanted to ask you too, because like since you've been talking, I was just curious about this. Like, do you live in a two-story location?
No, ma'am. Here in South Carolina, the location I'm in now is like a really flood-heavy place. So they don't give us basements. They don't give us an upstairs, downstairs. It's just one floor.
So one floor. Okay, That's cool. Are you in a location like with tan floors or like wood or anything like that?
All right, you're starting to freak me out
right now.
You're starting to freak me out a little bit. I am.
I was seeing like this white. Okay, let me finish. Cool. So I was like, when you were talking, like I do this sometimes. It's crazy. I don't know if you got a blue shirt on too. That'd be cool. I was like seeing this white table, like plastic. I don't know why. And then I was seeing some tan floors. So do you have any of that in your room?
I do have tan floors. Yes.
But not the white table?
No, well, not in this room. No, like not the room that I'm in.
Okay. No,
but it's plastic.
Okay. All right. I'll see if I tune out again on you. I just started to tune out on people and seeing stuff.
Oh, you don't want to get in this head. Trust me, there's a lot of crazy things that go on in here. Now, let me ask you about bad spirits. Have you ever come across a spirit or a ghost that just scared the shit out of you? Like someone like you just block them out. You just you don't even want to deal with them. Just like a sinister being from the other side. Have you seen any of that?
Oh gosh, yeah. We did this episode we called Cursed Cliffs. And we're going to release it soon again, but we went to this place in Pensacola called the Bay Bluffs. It's like Bay Bluffs. And so it's a place where a lot of people back in the day used to go and just walk around and kind of park and do things. It was also a cruise site back in the day, and everybody went there to the chimney. It's famous. And so people would often do things like go and rob people. So there was a lot of sinister stuff going on there. People would go and try to take advantage of, people that were trying to meet people. One person was murdered. He was murdered. He was a gay male. He was murdered by two guys that tried to rob him. There was several deaths on the train tracks because there are train tracks near it. With suicides, there was a guy who got shot in the head by a cousin. It was some kind of love triangle thing going on. There's like so many deaths that have occurred at this location. So our crazy paranormal team, Second Sight Paranormal, decided to go out there, and I kept seeing shadows, and I was telling them, we got to get out of here. Black girl got to go. So one of my friends, Richard, who's on the team, who is like the daredevil, I'll go, don't worry about it, I'm not scared. Well, he got scratched. He got almost pulled in a big old like hole where he was walking, and I told him to stop, that guy's trying to make you fall, and he kept walking in the dark, and there's this big pit he almost fell into. His hat jumped, like, I'm going to say at least 3 inches at a table. One of my girls' house flooded that night. Another girl lost her keys. My car wouldn't start the next day. It was so much stuff that happened. I got scratched literally when I was taking a bath. It was just some crazy stuff. So we all had to do what we would say a lot of cleansing to get rid of it. And I still blame Richard because he was the one who started, like trying to antagonize spirit. So in that lesson, I would just say, as you interact with the spirit world, know that there is bad and good, and make sure you don't try to engage in it. Or you see people on television, like, if you're there, show your presence. Don't do that stuff. Don't do that. It is real, very real.
Now, how do you help someone, and is it possible to help someone cross over? How do you get rid of a spirit? Do you just give them their final wish? Is there anything that gets rid of them, that just helps them go and move on?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked me that question, because I hear of these mediums all the time talking about, I'm going to go in your house and rid you of that spirit, or, like we're Ghostbusters, we're going to get rid of. First of all, we have free will, so do spirits. You're not going to be able to get rid of a spirit unless it wants to go. So when people go in there and, like, talking about they're going to cleanse the house like poltergeist, that's a fallacy. What a medium can do is either remote view the location and see if there's anything there, and see if they can talk with that spirit and see why the spirit is. A lot of times you'll go into a place and it has residual energy, so you're not going to necessarily get rid of it. What you're going to do is teach that family and that spirit to coexist, and ask if they will. And sometimes they will go because they don't need to be there anymore. And that's the case when you say they've cleansed the house. That spirit they have made peace with the spirit, not offered them anything primarily, but just kind of acknowledge them, talk with them, ask them to go, and explain, why they need to go, et cetera, et cetera. And then if not, they ask them to coexist. But yeah, spirits have free will, so it's not like, hey, I'm going in there and I'm going to clean house. That's the biggest fallacy ever.
What about when spirits die? Are they tied to that location where they died, or that place that they died? Like, if I died in my house, am I stuck there in my afterlife, or can I roam freely like Patrick Swayze did?
My grandfather was flying over in Ireland when he was in the hospital bed. I was flying with him because he could show me it visually. No, you're not stuck there. If you want to be there because you want to haunt the house because you lost your house, like that lady did in Milton, and she wanted to haunt the house because she lost it. Yeah, she was there and she haunted the house, and she's probably still there haunting the house. But usually you have no stake in the environment that you're in. You have no stake in the grave that you're buried in. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to heaven, or paradise, or however you want to call it. You're going to want to go there because it's freaking awesome. You're not going to want to stay in a specific location. Now, you might come back to your family home, especially when your loved ones miss you, or you might have a child that's going through something and you feel like you need to go in and give them words of comfort or feelings of comfort. It's like goosebumps. Everybody says that. Or you might send signs to them, like red birds, cardinals, bluebirds, butterflies, all kind of things. But they're not. You would not be stuck at that location, no, unless you chose to be.
Now, what about, like, how do these ghosts, like, live? Well, not live, obviously, they're dead. But do they feel, like, hunger? Do they feel emotion? Do they need sleep? Or are they just constantly on the prowl? What happens to them? Like, do they need water?
Okay, so I know that I am fortunate that I have had some spirits, but one specifically by the name of Chase, who recently helped me with a young lady who was having an issue here. He showed up and told me some wonderful things about her to help her. maybe saved her life. But he chooses to be around and help. So you have a lot of spirits that are walking among us, kind of like his guardian angels per se. They choose to do that. So that's kind of like a job per se, that they're doing that. There are others that are not here on this plane of earth. They're in heaven. And I believe heaven has a similar, it's kind of a similar world like the world that we live in now. They have all the things even better that we have. So it's almost like they're just in another, they're in a different dimension. And that dimension starts on earth and goes up, up, up. But they're living their best life just like we're living our best life here. And they have all the things that we have here, but supersized. They have emotion. As far as food and all that other stuff, I've never heard them tell me they're eating food, so I can't really validate that. But I know that they listen to music because they have sent me songs, and some of the songs I've never heard before. I know that they do things because they've shown me to tell other family members that they're dancing, that they're eating, they're cooking. So I guess, because one was showing me they were, which was something that they did here on Earth. I think they're living a dimensional life similar to us, just a higher vibration. And so that's one of the things too, just to mention as far as clearing a space. Sometimes if it's a negative space, you can raise the vibration to make that energy not want to be there. But at the end of the day, they have free will to stay or go.
Is there anything after dying and becoming a spirit? Do they die again? Or is it just like, okay, you're alive, like we're talking right now, alive, and do they die and then you become a spirit, or do you become something else, or is that the end of the line? So when they die, they just become a spirit and that's it?
Okay, so a lot of people have asked me, like if you die, do you just kind of live in heaven or hell or whatever, or do you come back as a rabbit? Do you come back as a fly and sit on that man's head? But yes. So the thing that I've been told is that there are different particles of our ancestry in us, and that's kind of like the DNA thing. So there's a part of my great, 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 great ancestors that are part of me today. There'll be a part of them connected to my children, and it goes on. So that's like the genetic thing. But I don't necessarily believe that we're reincarnated. So I feel that we're one soul. That soul lives on, goes to wherever it goes. But I don't necessarily feel like I'm going to come back or I have come back. I know that there are parts of me that remember things, but I connect that to particles of my ancestry or my DNA.
Okay. Now, you are a medium. We've talked about this, obviously. And I want to ask you, because I'm a very curious person when it comes to religion. I've had Mormons on this show. I've had Christians on this show. I've had people with all different backgrounds for religion and just telling me about their experiences and what they believe in and why they believe in it. You being a person who has a direct line with the supernatural, can you definitively tell me which religion is correct?
That is so weird because I don't think any of them are from the spiritual world.
Okay.
I'll tell you that I've learned to be Catholic. I'm not Catholic, I'm spiritual. I've learned to be Catholic because Catholics that have come back, they'll show me a rosary. They'll show me, how to make the sign of the cross, to let their family know that they're okay. They've never really said to me, any spirit has ever told me that Baptist is right, Buddhist is right. But one thing they have shown me is that love is love and love is unconditional. And God in the sense of spirituality is very forgiving, because certain religions, when you commit suicide, you go to hell. I've had too many, and I'm not condoning suicide, and I'm not saying go do it, but I'm just letting you know, I've had so many people that have died of suicide come back and tell their family members, and give me some crazy evidence that they're not in hell. And so they've always shown me love, and they've taken me to a place of such peace and love that one time I was only able to go there that I didn't even want to come back home. So, and that was just in a meditation. So if that's just a taste of what heaven, there were no denominations there, what I saw. There was no churches. There, all of that, I think, is just man-made stuff. But I do feel like the universal thing of love is a God for me. That is a God for me, not necessarily all the specifics of religion. Because I've also seen mass murderers that went to what we'll call heaven, which shocked the hell out of me, to be honest. So, it is what it is, but that's my perception of what I've been shown.
Now, you've talked to a lot of people, and, alive and dead. What are some of the most compelling messages that you've received from some people that have passed away and passed on?
Well, the whole thing about love is very important because there are people that die from everything, all kinds of traumas, car accidents, I think, murder, suicide, regular death like cancer. There's times that people will, give me a message like, hey, you weren't here at the time that I died. I knew you were trying to get here. You were in this color car. This happened, this happened, this happened. You talked to me on this side of the bed. You whispered this in my ear. You closed my eyes. But they're all messages of love. They're messages of forgiveness. Sometimes it's even downright kind of mean in a way, because I've had people say to me like, you took all that money. You should be ashamed of yourself. I remember there was one lady who her dad had died in this, I want to say he was 16 years old. This guy had, his grandson had helped tinker with him on this, hot rod car. And I mean, this car was worth a lot of money. It was a classic. And she inherited it. I think she was the power of attorney. And she came to me and her dad said, you give him that car. And her eyes about popped out of her head because she had been busted. And he went on and on and on. And she left a believer for real. But she came back because I guess he haunted the hell out of her. She came back and told me, like I had something to do with it. But she came back and told me I gave him the car. And I'm like, okay, I don't have nothing to do with him haunting you. But yeah, I mean, it's mostly messages of love and comfort, but sometimes it can be some real talk. I mean, it can be some words that you need to hear. Sometimes it's life and death too. I know with Samira, it was life and death. A lady that I read the other day, it was life and death. So those are some real important messages that I've given to people. Life and death, like leave this person alone because he's homicidal, he's going to kill you. And he is homicidal and kills you. There are other times that, maybe you're in an abusive relationship where you've had threats, and a spirit will come and say, hey, this guy's serious. You need to let this person go.
That's crazy. I love it. I am so fanboying out right now because I love this conversation. I just love talking about this kind of stuff, and having an expert on the show. It's just really cool for me. I just want you to know that. And something else even more so interesting, I think, than even being a medium and talking to dead people is the fact that you are – I love comic books. I'm a big nerd, obviously. I go by nerd. That's my moniker here on the podcast. You have the Pensacola Comic Convention, and this is one of the first African-American female-owned comic conventions in the U.S. Can you talk a little bit about the Comic-Con that's going on, and how did that affect you this year with, being a pandemic year and all this other stuff that's going on?
Well, I started that, actually it kind of started in 2009 as the Circle of Life Expo, and it was more of, at that time it was holistic with a little bit of paranormal. I think I brought Chip Coffey down. Then in 2010, I think we went paranormal, and we had different guests. And then we stopped, I think, in 2017, because at that time, nobody knew, because I didn't tell anybody. Nobody actually ever knew. But I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease when my first son was born, or when I was pregnant with my first son. And I carried the secret for many, many years. And I was about 2017, I was kind of getting sick, and, no one really knew why I decided that I was going to not do the Comic-Con anymore, but that was really the reason. It was that I was getting sicker and sicker, and I was a one-woman, mastermind. I mean, I did everything, the booking, the flights. I'm a Leo, like straight micromanaging Leo. So my sons expressed no interest in it. So I was like, I built this for you guys. And they were like, Mom, we're going to college. We just don't want to do it. So there was another Comic-Con that had just, had started too. And I was like, I'll just pass the torch because, I knew my health was about to get worse. And so that did eventually happen. 2019, I got a kidney transplant. And so the guy who is in me now, his organ that is in me, he visits a lot and he is very helpful. So now I joke that not only do I talk to dead people, but I literally have a piece of a dead person inside of me that maybe is helping me a lot better.
Now, are you personally afraid of the afterlife? Being as you've talked to so many people, are you afraid of it at all, or do you embrace it knowing how the other half doesn't live? Obviously, they don't live.
Yeah, honestly, like even because I've had to face death, with the transplant, and even prior to that, my RF levels were probably deadly, but I was still walking around here like I was Queen of Sheba and, Princess Warrior girl. I mean, I never let it, I never accepted it, so I never really let it affect me or what I was doing. So, yeah, I never feared death because even like when I was in the hospital, I was like, if it's time to go, it's time to go. I knew that I would be okay. I knew my people had me. I knew I'd come back and haunt the hell out of some people. But I think as a medium, when you touch the spirit world so much, you don't fear death. My only worry was making sure that, my children, because I already told them if I come back, I'm gonna haunt the hell out of y'all, and I'm gonna make sure. I told them, I said, if I don't like that girl, she's gonna know it, because I'm just gonna be like doing all kind of stuff, whoever they date, I'm just gonna scare the hell out of them. But yeah, I've never really feared death. Honestly, I am just. My friends tell me, girl, you crazy. You get yourself in the worst places and do the worst things. Now, I'm the kind of girl that walks in the woods, not looking for spiders, but, I have not that fear that most people have, which is kind of bad. But yeah, I never have feared death. I always feel protected.
Oh boy. Now I got to ask you this question. Okay. When am I going to die and how am I going to die?
You know what? I can never answer that. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when it happened to me about Samira, when they told me she was in danger to die and I saw her die, I made them promise. Well, it happened to me too, because I asked them when I was going to die also, and they told me, which then I said, well, how can I prevent that? Because it was messed up. And I did prevent it, thank God. But ever since then, like when Samira, I don't want you to ever, 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 ever give me that responsibility again. And so I told them to never tell me again. So I'm going to always say what I say to everybody. You're a vampire and you will never die. You will live forever. Spiritually, you will, for sure.
No, that makes perfect sense. Now, as far as being someone who can see the future and just kind of like talk to people that can tell you things that other people don't, that aren't privy to that kind of information, how do you handle that responsibility that you may know something's coming, but you can't intervene? Or do you intervene? Do you just let things happen, or do you intervene to kind of change the course of history with certain people's lives, even your own?
Well, I think for me, it's not so much precognition set in stone. A situation can be like, for instance, I met a lady recently at this hotel, and I told her, I said, I see children around you, see you in a hospital working. Definitely don't do oncology. I can't even say it right now. Oncology. I said, don't do oncology. She said, oh my God, yeah, you're right, because I worked oncology, and I didn't like it. And I said, and she's pre-med. I think she's about to finish, actually, is what she told me. And I said, yeah, you're drawn to children more, but she said, you're right. So I didn't change her. I just helped her understand what was right for her. She probably had an instinct already that wasn't right, but maybe she could have second guessed it and been in a career that she would have hated. So I think with psychics, don't, and I always tell people, I have clients, I say, look, when someone tells you A, B, or C, use common sense. Again, I'm a skeptic, right? So use common sense. I mean, it's your life to live. If a person tells you don't go down the street because this could happen, I'm probably the person that's going to go down the street because, again, I'm the ruler of my own world, my reality and destiny. And so don't be a slave to the psychic. Don't be mindless. I mean, it's for information for you to use in your highest good. It's only a roadmap. It's not like, I mean, you're still going to live your life. When the doctor told me it's best for me not to drink sodas, I still...
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Drink sodas. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you're going to die one day. I mean, so, hey, live the best life you can. But I would just say in psychics, yeah, there are some that are very precognitive. They can predict things. But a lot of times your guidance is not set in stone. It is a map, a roadmap for the journey.
That's a great answer right there. And just bring it back to the psychic abilities. Why do you think some people think that psychic abilities are forbidden?
Well, it goes to, for me, the biblical aspect. And I always use this analogy. So if I would have wanted to give up sex, probably I could have been a nun. Or if I wanted to preach in a church, I probably could have been a prophetic pastor, female pastor. And if I would have prophesied then, it would have been okay. If I were a nun and I saw visions, I would be okay because that would be of God. But I'm not any of those things. I'm just a mother, in Pensacola that sees things. When we watch pastors on television, if they prophesy or they speak to God or God speaks through them, they're hailed as prophets. Or they're very like T.D. Jakes. I think he's a really good pastor. He, and there are different pastors that are well known. But when they speak on things, when they write sermons, come from God. But a lot of times they're prophetic. They're foretelling things. They probably could do readings as well. But I think the way that we're controlled by the masses is that the clergy are the divinity. We show you and guide you of how to live. You don't have it in your capacity to make the right decisions, so you have to look at these books, these religions to follow, and that we're going to police you to make sure that you stay within those guidelines. What I tell people is that divinity is within. You can tap into the same source they tap into to give them answers. You just don't have to be a slave to the dogma. I mean, there are many ways to get there, many lifetimes. I mean, there's just a lot religion, and I find that a little bit of closure and comfort and understanding in each path. So I don't think that any of the paths are wrong because they're going to teach you something. Whether you like it or not, it's still going to teach you something. And you have to be open to understand and find the commonality in all of them, because there is definitely a commonality.
Are there any best practices that you can tell our listeners here that can help them unharness their intuition and just basically open up their minds and see things? Maybe talk to these people that passed away in their family bloodline themselves without having to contact a medium. Are there any exercises that you would recommend for people to try on their own?
Yeah, I mean, to really get into what I would call a meditative state, some people do yoga, I would say get you some lavender if you can tolerate that smell, put it around you, infuse it in a room. Have a purpose of meditation, either write a list or do a prayer. A lot of times my prayer would be, whoever I'm trying to connect with and the information in my highest good. It'd be a prayer to be guided. It'd be protected. Some people do visualization about the white light and all that other stuff. I just talk to ancestry and God and whoever and say, look, just keep me protected as I go here and do this. And also say, definitely learn about the chakras in the sense that they're just energy centers, correlating to your hearing, your taste, your smell, your touch, your knowing. Learn to open those, enhance them, focus on them. Breath work is important too, because it helps you to, I would say, get to the happy place where you're actually listening. I recommend a progressive relaxation meditation, because for people that have like a jumbled brain like mine, and you too, regular meditations don't work because you're thinking about like everything that you got to do. With progressive relaxation meditations, they're focusing on the muscles of the body and working you from the head to the toe, so you can focus on the flex or the release of those, and it's easier to get in the blue zone or the purple zone or whatever you zone into. Mostly me, I'm purple or blue. Once you're there, again, you have an intent of what you want to do, knowing that you're protected, ask for protection, have a purpose, come out of it with information, and then start looking for validations, looking for signs and acknowledging the signs. Pay attention to your dreams, write your dreams down, because a lot of times dreaming to me is just like being dead. I mean, you're going to get information from your loved ones during dreams as well. But the biggest thing is just to ask and know that you'll start subtly receiving things, and don't be so logical minded like most people are and debunk everything that you see. Oh, that's a red bird. Oh, well, I'm living in whatever, up north. We have cardinals all over the place. But that cardinal might have come just at a certain time when you were not feeling good. A lot of people talk about the 111s, the 333s, the 222s, all the synchronicities of what we call, some people call angel numbers. Sometimes I debunk them too. It just depends on the relevance at that time.
Now, now this is going to sound weird, okay? Because, I mean, like my mind is blown right now with everything that we're talking about here, because I'm learning more about the afterlife than I've ever thought I could ever learn in my lifetime. Does death ever change somebody to the point that they're unrecognizable? For instance, like my dad, he passed away in 2009. He had multiple sclerosis, and he kind of degenerated over the years. And when he passed away, I felt a sense of relief because he wasn't suffering anymore. Now, I remember him a certain way. Have you ever dealt with a spirit who was described to you by the person living, maybe like a daughter or son or someone, who was like, oh, my mother was a nice person? And then as the spirit that you connect with, being the mother, like, is just a horrible human being, like someone bitter and angry that they're dead, like they didn't know that they were dead until you told them, and then they became some monster, like, have you ever seen that? I don't know if I'm
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a wonderful experience. I call him Red Truck on Mobile Highway. So there's,
That's nice.
he is the only, oh God, this is crazy. So Red Truck on Mobile Highway. I mean, he's Google. I think you can Google him. He's a legit newspaper article, I'm sure. But I met a relative of his, I'll say, and I can actually talk about this. I have permission. But I met a relative of his, and I did not know anything about. When people come to me, they just say their first name or whatever, and I just focus on and make a list. And the only thing I closed my eyes and I said blah 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 and highest good, And so the only thing I heard, word, B word, B word, B word, B word, B word. And I said to the individual, all I hear is that word, nothing else. I can't, and I can't keep saying this to you. So I just can't read you, and I'm sorry. And, but before I did that, I must say this. I saw the red truck, because this is important. I saw a red truck. I saw a guy in a truck. I saw a dog. Okay. I saw a gun, and I saw the man shoot the dog, and I saw the man shoot himself in the head. And then I heard the beep, 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 beep. And then that was it. And so I told the lady to leave. And so probably, I don't even know how many years later. I can't honestly tell you. I don't even know. But I just remember a lady presented in front of me. And I've read so many people, I don't remember people. She sat down and, again, I do the in the highest good prayer and blah, blah, blah. And I saw a truck on Mobile Highway. And I said, oh, my God, I saw a red truck. I'm sure I said that exactly. Mm-hmm. And I said to the lady, because I didn't know she was, who she was at the time. I said, well, that's a guy who committed suicide. Like, I talked to him so long ago. I said, do you know that? And she says, I'm that lady. And I said, oh, shit. Oh. And then I said, well, I don't know. I said, I'll try. And it was totally different. Oh, my God. He was nice. He was apologizing. He was talking about all this stuff. And he had been like night and day, because the first time when I interacted with him, probably 3 years, if not longer, he was nothing nice. He was mean, and he was full of anger. He shot his dog, but that was in love. I know that's kind of weird, but he was so angry at this woman. He was angry. He said that B word with force, He was very compassionate, loving, full of, I would say, resolve, wanted to give her resolution. He had apologized to her for how much she loved him. It was just a whole bunch of stuff. It was a night and day.
Wow. Yeah. No, I do understand.
I found it because I had never had her.
Mm-hmm.
They've always been love and light, but he was not love and light. Yeah.
I guess it boils down to the whole, if I can't have, no one can. And that's why people kill in the name of love, I guess. I don't know. Is there any way that they can atone for this in the afterlife? Can they do something to maybe clear their name so they can get into the pearly gates afterwards? Or are they just pretty much screwed?
I don't even think for him it was that. He was surrounded by cops. The story is he was surrounded by cops on Mobile Highway in Pensacola, and he had a gun. I don't know if that had something to do with her, because I didn't get it all into that. But he shot his dog. He had his dog with him, and he planned on doing, I guess, death by suicide cop, but he shot himself. And so for me, I think he never really left here. He never really wanted to go. That's how he explained it to me. He was afraid to go. He didn't want to go. He was angry. And so he made a transition at some point between the time that I met with him initially into that time. But he told me he'd been doing things. He had been around her. He'd been around family members. He saw how much they loved him. He didn't think anybody cared about him. He was going to jail, and, he was angry. He was full of rage. I felt all of that. And he explained to me that he wanted to forgive her, and he wanted her to forgive him. And I guess he'd been working on that. I have other people too that have done, I know there was one guy who committed suicide too, who had a child pornography ring. I actually ended up talking to FBI agents about him. Ooh. But he came back with, I didn't even want to talk to him, to be honest, because of the stuff that I saw. But he came back with a whole bunch of compassion, and he was working I know it sounds crazy, but he was working on the other side to undo the damage he created because he was a victim. And I think we never see child molesters sometimes as victims first. But he gave me another understanding, because I was one of those people to lock him up, put a needle in him, chop it off. I don't care. But he gave me a different perspective about the making of this person. And so I think that helped me too, in some level. But it wasn't about, I guess, working something out to go to heaven or not go to hell. It was more about, I think, for them, atonement of their conscious, because their vibration changes and they see everything that they've done. They see their birth up until their death. And I think they have some understanding of who they are and what they should do to better themselves and better family members. And they see the trauma and the pain that they cause. When they say your life flashes before your eyes, that's true, because I've been told that. But also everything that you did to hurt people, that is one of the strongest emotions you feel. So you do see that loved ones come back and they try to make amends and they try to heal those that they've hurt. They try to heal their loved ones. Like I've seen them show me one lady, she was crying on the bed wearing her husband's shirt, white, dress shirt. And so he was just telling me that to let her know that he was there while she was crying. That's life changing, because there's no way that I would know that, but it tells me that they're still here on earth, helping us breathe, helping them transition, and just around to show ways that they love us and show that love doesn't just die, it continues.
Now, do they always ascend to this betterment of themselves where they're basically like trying to atone for the most part? Or do you find that they have the same things that we have here, like jealousy? Because one question I've always wanted to ask is like, maybe like a husband died at a very young age and the wife moves on to someone else. Do they come back and look and say like, hey, I'm happy for her, she moved on, or I'm happy for him, he moved on? Or do you find that they're more jealous and malevolent, or does it just vary by the spirit of the person who passed away?
Okay, so that's an awesome question. So I've always said to, like, and some people in living will say, "Don't you ever marry again?" But it's so not true. In the afterlife, because they vibrationally are different and they want us to be happy. And so that flashes to David and Maria. So Maria's husband died, and I told her, you will meet a guy named David. He's sending you a guy named David. I don't know where it came from. She ended up marrying David. They're still married now. They're both police officers or whatever, the airport police. She met him at work, and his name is David, and they've been married for many, many years. And I have had lots of people that are dead, that especially women, not so much men always, but women will find their husband another wife because they want them to be happy. And there is not that sense of jealousy. I haven't had it as of yet. But I tell my husband, I probably like that movie where like the ghost is on the ceiling looking down. I'd be that.
That's awesome. Now, what about when, and I know this one's a sensitive question here. What about when babies die? Can you talk to babies? And if you do talk to an infant, do they miraculously know how to speak English? Can they speak perfectly to you, or are they stuck in that infant body?
So that is great too, because I use this term called in utero when I'm reading. Like sometimes I'll see a child, depending on the age when they died. Like if they're 6, I'll see them as like 6 as far as in height. But sometimes I'm just told by spirit in utero times 1, times 3, whatever. Sometimes I'm just told in utero, not times an amount. And what that usually means is a person has miscarried a child or lost a child, through abortion or whatever. And they usually can tell me the sex of the child. So that's really cool. Like I'll hear a boy in utero, a girl in utero. And I'm able to tell the mother that, and sometimes the dad too, because just recently I told the dad, hey, you have, X amount of children in utero, one child actually, and he knew that. And it was very tearful for him because, he knew about that child, but this was a long, long time ago. And he didn't know that child was still connected to him spiritually. And I tell them they don't stay babies. That's a misconception too. You're looking at a young man, he's tall as you. Basically, he had brown hair. He was a good looking guy. And he grew up. He's not still a little cherub baby like, they paint in art. It's a real grown big guy, and so babies that are miscarried and whatnot that are in utero for me grow up, and so I call them kind of guardian angels. And there are times that children will sense their siblings that have not come out of mom around them, and so you'll see like in your house there's like a dead dog or something, but you'll see like a child kind of around playing with the other child. So when you say about babies, do they see things? Sometimes they see their sibling. So that child that's scary in the room is not necessarily a demon. It could be a child that's around their brothers and sisters.
Here's one for you, because I've wondered this one, because I did mention my dad a little bit earlier, and I do have a daughter who has a disability. Just for people in general, this might be something I think a lot of people are interested in hearing. If someone dies very sick, like let's say if they smoke their whole life, they have an oxygen tank, and they die, will they reappear as a spirit in good health, or will they have that oxygen tank? Will they have a disability still? Will they be a mute? Will they be blind? Will they be deaf the way they died? How do they come back as spirits? Do you get to choose? Like, that's something that I think a lot of people would like to know, to have some sort of peace or closure.
Okay. So you know how like sometimes we see in religion, like you'll see the guy walk up with the crutches in church and, or, you know, on the podcast, and all of a sudden somebody will grab the forehead and says, you're healed, throw those crutches down. Yep. That's a reality, really. But it's more like in heaven. When I have had people that have had disorders where they can't see, they can't talk, or they can't walk, or they're in a wheelchair, they will acknowledge that, okay? They will acknowledge, hey, one of my legs got cut off or something like that, but then they'll show me standing up. So they're not necessarily like that. There are times when I'll see an old man laying in the bed and, you know, he might be really, really sick, and he'll show me the photo of him when he was really young and looked like James Dean. And so I'll ask him, like, is that how you look like now? And they'll say yes. So I think that you kind of become the version you want to be, not so much the old man. It's not like you're Gandalf over there with the beard in the snow. You're your best. I feel your spirit, really, honestly. You're not really a form, but when you come back and appear to someone like myself, you can appear how you want to. So yeah, I don't sense that they have the same limitations that they would have had in the physical body. They don't at all. But I will tell you something that's interesting, and it helped a lot of people accept their children. Because I know I've read people, like I'll read a girl, for instance, she might be gay, and, you know, she's dead, okay? And I'm reading the mom or the dad, and I'll say, well, this feels like a boy, but she's a girl. And I said, her energy is like a boy. And so I'll say to them, see, you're a lot of times people are born the way they are, and they energetically feel that way. And so that helps, I think, a lot of parents to understand that, you know, hermaphrodites are not, people are born that way. And so their energy comes back the same way because of how they were. And so I think that that's kind of helpful too, to know that you don't have the limitations. You don't have the physical harm or the physical pain or the physical deterioration of body. You're not like if you're in an accident, you don't come back dismantled. You come back in all one piece, looking really good, actually. Sometimes they look even better because I think they choose what they want to look like. So I'm going to choose my best look, probably like 1987 when I was like 110. But yeah, I feel like that, you know, that's a misconception that people feel that, you know, if they were, like you said, crippled or they had some kind of disability, they're going to come back like that. No. Even in the dreams, a lot of times when you dream of your loved ones, you often see them in their best state. You don't see them. And I've heard of people too that dream, like say someone couldn't walk, they're walking. And that's it's just validation that yes, they appear how they're wanting to appear, because that's not the limitations of Earth in this physical body anymore.
That's very refreshing from A lot of people out there, I can tell you that right now. A lot of people right now are probably like, oh, thank goodness, like this person who was born blind can see now in the afterlife. So at least they can not suffer in the afterlife. So that's very refreshing. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever talked to any well-known spirits? Like Michael Jackson? Did he ever come back and say, hee, or like tell you anything about himself? Or have you talked to any well-known spirits?
I honestly would never want to talk to Michael Jackson because I truly think he was guilty, and I have many reasons to believe that, but that's neither here nor there. And I'll probably lose some fans about that, but I'm right, and I accept that. But yeah, I will tell you, one time I was in the bathtub because I used to meditate a lot I don't know. I could be delusional, but I'm just going to accept this. I had a visit from Prince for sure. I mean, I just know that it was Prince. And I was fangirling out. And then I think I tried to call some of my friends and tell them. They're like, girl, you crazy. I said, no, you don't understand. It was Prince. Like, it was so Prince. And then he like gave me the lyrics to this song that is a Prince song that I've never really heard, because we only really listen to Prince songs that, I've only listened to the popular Prince songs. I've never like really bought a lot of his albums. So when he gave me a song, I was like, oh shit, that's really Prince. And so I don't care if nobody believes it. I know that I had a visit from Prince and I fangirled all in the bathtub. And
that's awesome. That is so cool. All right, so tell us a little bit about Second Sight Paranormal TV.
So we kind of, I've always, a goal of mine is to put some chocolate, some legitimate chocolate psychic medium on television. And so I've been waiting on a network and have had some opportunities. They haven't unfortunately panned out. And so I'm just like one of those girls. I take the ball by the horns, or the bull by the balls too. But I take the bull by the horns. So we started a local television show called Second Sight Paranormal TV. And so I got some really cool friends of mine that like to ghost hunt. We go to locations and we try to see if it's haunted, debunk it or not. And so we just started like an episode where we're on every week on a couple different stations here. And we just filmed another one too. And so because of COVID, we stopped filming. So we've come back to filming. But it's just like one of my dreams is to follow me around, because I literally, every place I go, it's a TV show. I mean, every restaurant, every place I go is a TV episode of kind of like, I would say, the black version of the Long Island medium. And so, I want to either be on a television show about the paranormal, because I just haven't seen enough color for mediums on television. Mm-hmm. And even some of the mediums that I do love on television, they're awesome. But I just think that, we all are different. And so I think my special abilities are kind of unique, because I do lots of things that they don't do. And plus some chocolate. And I think I need to be on television, because who doesn't like chocolate? I'm white, chocolate, brown, chocolate, tan. I'm all of them. I mixed all in one. Milk chocolate, yeah.
I do agree with you. And it's funny because you mentioned Paranormal State a little while ago. And one of the guys from the show lives in my neighborhood. His name is Sergei Poberezny. He lives in my neighborhood. He's about a couple streets down from me, and he's going to be on the show eventually. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And it's like a weird like circle thing here that we got going on here, like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like we're all like kind of tied together somehow. So I think that's kind of cool.
Well, I can upgrade that. So when I literally came out of the psychic closet per se, my first paranormal convention, I believe my first convention that I actually attended was the Paranormal State UNIFCon in Pennsylvania. And it was when I met Sergey and Brian, I met everybody. And then from that point, I started to kind of like travel among the different paranormal events. And so it's kind of like I got hooked into the whole scene. But that was one of my first conventions that I flew out to, and I made a lot of friends. Like I met Paranormal Sarah there. I met Lorraine Warren there, which I was scared of her. Oh my gosh. But she was actually totally cool. But we took pictures, and there was so much foggy, like ghost stuff around us. It was crazy. But I'm not going to lie. I was like totally afraid to meet her because I knew she had a whole bunch of like stuff around her energetically. And I was like, don't rub it off on me. Keep your stuff over there. But it was such an honor to meet her because she is in the paranormal field. She is
a legend.
Her and her husband, Edward, started it, started the whole movement in some capacity. So I felt like she was paranormal royalty. And I was so happy to be able to say that, we rubbed energies.
I'll tell you what, those movies scared the living shit out of me. Insidious, Annabelle, oh my God. Those are the only movies that scare me. As a 38-year-old man, I still, I just can't sleep with my back has to be against the wall and I have to be looking at everything in front of me after I watch those movies because they really are scary. And they live that shit, Do you have anything that can touch that?
Just recently. Okay, so I got to tell you the story about this hotel in Alabama, but I can't name the hotel.
Oh, please.
I don't want everybody to know it's haunted, but it's a hotel. Okay, so I was in this room, and that black Annabelle, it's not even the Annabelle doll, it's the Raggedy Ann doll. I had a dream, I gotta say it was a dream. And I woke up in the dream, and I was in this room, and they had this like blue kind of old antique chair, and there was this black, it was made out of black fabric, let me explain that, but it was a Raggedy Ann doll, and it was sitting in the chair, and I woke up from that dream like I had died. I mean, my heart was racing because I knew it was everything of evil, and it was not a good feeling, and I was scared. I'd already been feeling like everybody was watching me, and I could see shadows and everything in the room. I saw a soldier standing in the room, and I told them, look, y'all don't scare me, y'all don't bother me, and then I have this dream. So that chair was not in let me explain, that chair was not in my room. So they allowed me to stay another night for free. And we came back another week and they put me in a different room. And guess what? That chair was in that room. And I was scared shitless. I was so scared. I was throwing crosses, all kind of prayer on that chair. And I was like, and it was so funny. I called one of the girls on the team and I said, Dawn, I just saw a soldier in the door, and I said, all these shadows are moving, and that I told you about that chair. I said, girl, if I scream, you better run your blah, blah, blah up here right now. I said, if the door is locked, because I'm leaving it unlocked, I said, y'all knock that, I was cursed. I said, you knock it down, but you come in here and save it. And it was so funny. They still rag me about it. They say, you're the craziest medium. You love talking to dead people, but if they touch you, it's like on and popping in 3.4 seconds. You ain't having it. I just don't want them touching me. I talk to me. Do not touch me. Do not shake my bed. Do not scare the shit out of me. I'm good.
Now, how do you ward them off? Is there like you put a circle of garlic around your bed? How do you keep them away from you?
I call frankincense my super oil. I love frankincense. I feel like that is my frankincense is like my holy water. So if I had to throw a cross on it or, do my little Catholic prayers or whatever that, everybody uses, I feel like frankincense is my garlic, my psychic garlic. So I use that as a protection for me. But a lot of times I just feel like we all have an angelic entourage. We have our people. I call them my peeps. They keep me grounded and they keep me safe. And so I knew that was to scare me, but I wasn't in danger. But sometimes you need to be scared, I guess, in a way. It was there. That presence was definitely there, and it was trying to scare me. And it appeared as a soldier, and it appeared as a doll. But I knew what it was. It wasn't a demon. Sometimes there's spirits that there's some spirits that just like to scare us because they can. And there's some spirits that are very helpful. But yeah, it's free will. I mean, they didn't mean any harm. They just, like I said, I would come back and scare some people for sure. And definitely mess with my kids. They already know. They're waiting on it.
All right. Now, can you talk about your show, Whispers from the Heart Radio, a little bit?
Yeah. With Whispers from the Heart, we're trying to get back to that on Sundays at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time at Blog Talk Radio. And it's basically just I interview people. I do some random readings. I also started a network called Spirit Networks. and spiritradionetworks.com. And what I'm trying to do is kind of get people to come on and basically do radio shows that are spiritually involved, but then we also want everything. And it's just going to be on the Blog Talk platform, basically. And we want to have something every week, every day of the week, a different show.
Well, I know one show that might be interesting. But
hey.
I also see that you guys travel around a lot, when you were doing the whole thing with the paranormal TV, like you guys were all over the place. You guys haven't come to Charleston, South Carolina, and this is a very spiritual area. So I do have to say that when and if you guys ever make it down here to South Carolina, you have to invite me to one of these ghost hunts. My wife and I would love to be a part of one of these things, just to see what we can't see now. I want you to open up our minds and show us the other side and how they live. Or don't live.
That would be cool. I think for, depending on, I honestly don't think we'd have to, like, if you were to come here, or if you go any place that you really want to tap in to the spirit world, just ask. And I think some of the, like, skeptic, like, you can debunk the crap out of something, but you do have to be open-minded. But like for your dad, for instance, I mean, do you ever find that there's anything that you feel like, do you have any bluebirds in your area? Like, do you see them ever?
Lots.
Sometimes when you see them, kind of, oh, he's the music with you. Okay, I'm gonna challenge you to try something, okay? So when you're in your car next, okay, I call it flipping through stations. So, like, ask your dad, trying to, get a message to me if there's something you want to. I'm gonna flip through these stations, like flip, 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 flip till you want to flip, right? And then whatever station it lands on, let that be a message to me, okay? And then you listen to the lyrics of the song and see if it relates. Now, if you get speaking, because sometimes we have commercials, just wait for the next random song and see if that song in any way connects to you, if it brings back a memory, if the lyrics are saying something to you, and then take that as a sign. And then as you acknowledge more things like the noises in your house, you'll find that he'll give you more things. Now, I know you mentioned a girl, but so a lot of times there's a name connection carried on when somebody were to say, like, the name is connected. So it could be like you're the senior. I mean, he's a senior, you're the junior. You have the grandfather's middle name. You have his middle name. Y'all both have the same name, or you have a child out with his name. But sometimes they mention things like that, like it's mentioned for you. So it's probably a name connection that he would acknowledge. Yep. And the other thing, too, that I don't know if you caught me laughing earlier, and I felt a little sadistic, to be honest, because I felt like I could lay you. That doesn't sound right. I felt like I could lay you down, right? And so, like below your there's your belly button, right? And then below, I don't know what he was trying to show me. I felt perverted. Anything weird, like somewhere in that area?
Yeah, there's something weird going on down there, yes.
Okay, I'm going to settle on it, right? I felt really weird. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about it. I felt perverted. Please tell your wife I'm not perverted, but I was like, I'm not laying him down and look. I don't know. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. So, okay, we're going to leave that alone. Okay. We're definitely going to leave that alone.
Oh, Ericka, I'm telling you, you have been very, very entertaining tonight, and I really do encourage you to get back to the radio show, because you're very good at this, and I think you have a lot to say and a lot to teach other people. Now, I know, like, we've gone a while, and we only planned on, like, a certain time frame, but I mean, like, these things just get going, and when you feel like you have a good connection with somebody, you just want to keep it going as long as you can. I do ask that you come back here, and you probably saw this coming, being a clairvoyant and being someone who can see things in the future, to come back on this show. And we can do some more.
I have questions for you, though, because I get, like, scatterbrained and I zone out a lot when you're talking. And so I have one quick question. Do you have any cremation in your house? Like, is your dad cremated for whatever reason?
No, we buried him regular. He
Hello?
was a very strict Christian, and yeah, we buried him in the ground. No cremations, even though I want to be cremated because I don't want anybody or worms eating me in the ground.
I agree, but that's not what I'm getting. Is there any cremation in your house at all? Like none at all? Never
No.
been any? No?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
so wrong about that. What about, okay, I'm going to still work on that because I feel like some kind of cremation stuff. And I also have another quick question about the backyard. Do you know if you have any animals buried, like a dog over there to the left-hand side?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, the lady who owned the house before has had a bunch of small dogs.
I bet
And
cremation has been in that house before because I can see it on a fireplace mantle in a white vase.
you got it.
Be there.
You, this is a little weird. You're creeping me out now. Please don't send any spirits to my house.
Weird. Okay, so I'm on white tile now, or white like hard floor, and I'm going down the hallway.
Don't
You know about-
listen. If you open up that door and walk in this room, I'm gonna be freaked the fuck out. All right.
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone. But
Don't-
it's like weird. I don't know how I do with what I do. It's just weird. I just do it.
Because we do have a tile in our living room area. It's like a kitchen / living room. It's a white tile, and then it does lead to a hallway that is where I'm talking right now. And if that door swings open, I might have a heart attack, and then I'll be haunting you.
Okay. You'll be talking to me. You won't haunt me. We'll be cool. We'll be like,
I'm
hey.
gonna try my best. All right, Ericka. So tell everyone out there where they can find you.
Okay, so you can find me at coldcasepsychic.com. You can find me at erickabouss-ar-hane.com. You can find me any place on the internet. Just look for Ericka Psychic, and always spell my name with a C and a K.
I love it, and yeah, I had a lot of fun tonight. Seriously, this has been one of my favorite shows, if not my favorite show that I've done so far. I talked to a lot of people, but this one is very eye-opening and enlightening, and I'm going to sleep with a nightlight on tonight.
Oh, you'll be fine. Just sprinkle a little salt around your bed, and I won't come haunt you too bad.
Oh, goodness gracious. Now, I feel like I'm going to have a weird dream tonight. That's all I got to say. All right, everybody. Please follow Ericka Bouss-ar-hane. Did I say it right this time?
It sounds great.
I'm
like I like all the variations of it, the way people pronounce it. I'm so happy with it because it is such a unique name, and it works very well for me because I think it brings such diversity that I don't have. My husband is from Morocco, and so the name comes from his lineage. But a lot of times people will look at me and they say, oh, she's got to be from New Orleans. So it works in my favor. It sounds like I'm French and people are afraid of me. So my neighbors know not to mess with me. So it's all good.
Oh, boy. Now, I feel like our next one that we do together, we're going to have a lot more areas to cover, a lot more topics to discover, and a lot more things just to talk about because I love talking to people with interesting backgrounds. And you are by far the most interesting person I've talked to, Ericka. I do appreciate you coming on the show. And I hope to have you back on again.
Most definitely, nerd. Thank you so much for having me in anytime, okay?
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by charlottesweb.com. Ladies and gentlemen, if you love CBD just as much as I do, I need it. You need it. We all need it. If everybody had CBD in our life, we wouldn't be so fucking at each other's throats all the time. I said a couple of podcast episodes ago about CBDmedic.com kind of going the way of the wayside. Well, they didn't. They merged. We all went to a bigger and much, much more well-known company called Charlotte's Web, and that's something that needs to happen more in business and life in general, is everyone needs to kind of get together and make something bigger than yourself, and that's what CBD Medic did with Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web is one of the most well-known names in podcasting. I mean, people talk about this all the time. People talk about this all the time in the CBD world. They are entrepreneurs, pioneers in the game. These guys are huge business, and I'll tell you what, they are not so big that they forgot about the little man because they gave us a code to give to you guys, VOM10. This will get you any fucking order over $150. You will get the coolest product I've ever heard of with CBD. This is a active sports stick. So anytime you spend $150 or more, use the code VOM10, you get a free active sports stick, which is phenomenal. You can use this thing on any part of your body. If you're an active person, you go out there and you just do anything physical. You take the sports stick, you rub it on your part of your body. There's also a spray version. Spray it on that injured, affected part of your body, and within minutes you will feel great. This thing will alleviate any pain. It is phenomenal. And if that's not your thing, you're spending $150 to get this free sports stick. Why not get a free sports stick? Spend $150, take advantage of all their products. They have all sorts of shit. Rubs, lotions, tinctures, tinctures, all sorts of things that you probably can't even pronounce. So many cool different products, different topics. Everything tastes great. Charlotte's Web has a 100% money-back guarantee on products you may or may not like, but you will get to keep the free active sports stick. But you have to use the code VOM10 at checkout. Spend $150 or more. If you don't like the product, simply send it back and keep the free sports stick. But you won't send it back because you're going to be so fucking on cloud 9, you won't even be able to make it to the mailbox to send it back because you're going to feel so good and relaxed for the first time in your life by using charlottesweb.com, using the code VOM10 products that you will not know what to do with yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, take it from the nerd. I would never, ever steer you wrong until I do. But this is not one of those cases. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Podbean.com. Yes, Podbean.com. Have you ever wanted to get your voice heard by millions upon millions of people around the globe? Are you too dumb to start up your own website professionally? Are you too dumb to start up your own podcast? Are you so dumb that you don't know? I'm sorry. Are you me? Because that's basically me describing myself. You know, when we got into this podcasting game about 2 years ago, it was very hard to find a good platform out there, someone that gave us the voice and the opportunity and the tools to make our dreams and vision become a reality. Well, let me tell you something. Podbean.com made it simple, easy, and effective, cost-effective, very cheap to sit there and get your voice out there. And I know the time old adage, you get what you pay for, but in this case, you get 10 times more than what you pay. I mean, these guys are getting, like, we're robbing them, basically. And I'm going to tell you something, man. You better jump in on this deal now because right now, everyone's at home. Everyone's got a lot to say, a lot of things in their mind. Podcasts are popping up all over the place, and there's no better place than Podbean.com to start your own podcast. They make everything easy. Even a dumbass like myself was able to make a website, can produce a podcast, can put things out there, and just have all sorts of different outlets. And they make it simple for you to get on, you know, Apple and all the big shots like Spotify, iHeartRadio, all these other big name places that you can get your podcast seen and heard. They do it for you, and they make you just basically walk through baby steps through this process. I mean, they make it so simple and easy. And to sweeten the deal, if you go to www.podbean.com/VOMpodcast10, that's VOMpodcast10, using our code, they're going to give you 5 free hours of podcasting space to see if you like it, which you will. And if you don't, no harm to you. There's no risk. Tons of reward just to try it out. So give it a shot. www.podbean.com/VOMpodcast10 and get your voice heard. And lastly, this podcast is brought to you by my good friends here. I tell you what, man, I fucking love these guys, and I'm so glad they're back. I never had so much fun recording a podcast commercial. And for my friends at manscaped.com, I'm so happy they're back, ladies and gentlemen, because I missed them. I mean, it's been a while since I talked about them, since I was allowed to talk about these guys, and holy shit, my balls have never been happier. I was crying in the shower the other day, and I was using this cheap-ass shaver. I'm not even going to use the name. I bought it at Walmart for fucking $30, and I'm shaving my nuts, and all of a sudden, I just howled in pain, and I cried for the first time in my adult life. Well, for the first time this month, actually. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And blood was trickling all at the bottom, just little droplets, and I said, screw it, and I stopped, and I was half-shaved, and I was walking around with a half row of my balls. Horrible, horrible experience. So I did what I could do, and I picked up the phone, I called Manscaped, and I said, please come back. Please sponsor the show. And they were like, all right, fine. Here you go, nerd. Here's a nice new product for you. Here is the Lawnmower 3.0. This thing is amazing. Just the design, the engineering on this thing is beautiful. I mean, the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer is designed with a compact shape for easy maneuvering while wet or dry. This thing's waterproof. More waterproof than your stupid iPhone 20 or whatever the hell they're at now. It's just amazing. It's got the skin-safe technology. That's the perfect tool for an incredible grooming experience. It's very sleek. I mean, you can travel with it, and it's also wireless. So you can charge it, and you pick it up. You can bring it in there with you. So you don't have to worry about accidentally electrocuting yourself in the goddamn shower. But they also got other products too, like the Weed Whacker, which I need because as an old man who's starting to get gray hairs now, my nose hairs are really long, and the Weed Whacker, you just jam this thing in there like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Total Recall, and just move it around in your fucking nose, and instead of pulling out that little ball that he had that was tracking him, with whoever else chasing him, it's going to pull out those nasty nose hairs. It's like going in a backyard and ripping out weeds, but it's painless. You don't feel any pain at all. You don't get those nasty scents of batteries that you get from all those cheap-ass ones. This one's amazing. The skin-safe technology as well, something I cannot brag enough about with these guys. You do not hurt yourself. You don't have droplets of blood. You don't hurt yourself at all. It's amazing. You can go as hard as you want. You just pull that sack back and you just fucking go to town on yourself. Before you know it, you're going to be smooth. Smooth as my head. And my bald head. I love this thing. You could use it on your fucking head. You could use it on your armpits, your mustache, every place on your body. You can use this thing. And I'm telling you what, the ladies are going to love you for it because you're going to be as smooth as a baby's butt. It's amazing. The battery life is phenomenal. They got a 600 mAh lithium-ion battery. Holds a charge for up to 90 minutes. You can shave your whole body 5 times in 90 minutes, even more, depending how tall or short you are. It's such a phenomenal. They send you all sorts of stuff, and there's a lot of different things that you can get as well. There's a crop reviver, it keeps your balls cool. The crop preserver keeps them nice and shave-free. And the cleanser, it romances your stones. It's basically a hair and body wash. It makes you feel really good. But ball deodorant, who ever thought of ball deodorant? Only these guys. I'm serious. They are the best company out there. Very innovative, and we're happy to have them back. There's so many different things. Here's some testimonials for you. 85% of women think bad grooming is a major turnoff. 80% of women think men should trim below the belt. Those other 20 women are dirty fucking skeezers. 89% of men think grooming is essential to their professional success. So thank you, men. We're actually moving up in the rank. There's 11 dirty bastards out there, 11% of dirty bastards, but we'll get to them. And if you get this right now, there's an exclusive offer. You get free boxers and a travel bag, so you can put all these tools in there. And $109.99, you get every single product. And you get a money-back guarantee. And the cool thing about that $109.99 plan is it's every 3 months. So you get fresh products. You're always fresh and trim. Your ladies are going to be all over. You're going to have to beat them off with a stick, all right? You're going to look phenomenal. You're going to smell phenomenal. And the best thing is, you're just going to get some free gifts like that fucking Manscaped boxers. I mean, it's going to keep your dick all where it's supposed to be. And that bag is amazing. It's really sleek. It's a leather bag. It's going to keep all your stuff protected. So get on this right now, manscaped.com, and use our code VOM10. VOM10 at manscaped.com, and please do it. And you'll save tons of money. You're going to save $80 off the retail price. So normally it'd be $169.99 for the Perfect Package 3.0. You're going to get it for $89. You're going to go for the best package, the $109.99. Normally that's $197, so that you're going to save even more money the more packages that you get to protect your package. Why wouldn't you do this, ladies and gentlemen? Go to manscaped.com, VOM10.
If you are fascinated by the darker side of human nature, especially stories you never hear in Western media, let me introduce you to Dark Asia with Megan. I'm Megan, a former journalist, and my specialty is telling dark, real stories from across Asia. From notorious Asian serial killers and unexplained murders, to cases involving black magic, cults, curses, and belief systems that blur the line between crime and the supernatural. These aren't just scary stories. I break down the culture, psychology, and social realities behind them. You can listen to the podcast or watch full deep dives on my Dark Asia with Megan YouTube channel. Search Dark Asia with Megan, available now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.